There are these two young fish.
There are these two young fish swimming along.
And they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says,
"Morning, boys. How's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other one and goes, "What the hell is water?"
H. Female 28. I'm pretty doubtful. I'm really doubtful of myself. Like, I've always been the kind of person who, like, I don't trust my own opinion, and I have to ask for a second or third or fourth or fifth opinion from other people. I don't really trust my own gut instinct.
P, male, 68. Well, I guess the big uncertainty is how much longer I'm going to live. I've always sort of imagined that I was going to live a really long life, and it kind of felt that I did my best work in the latter part of my life. And so far I'm healthy, so that it's not that I'm thinking I'm going to die imminently, but you know, you just don't know. Things, you know, surprise you. So I guess that kind of uncertainty just makes it hard to sort of figure out how to pace yourself. How to, you know, whether you should be in a frenzy of getting things done or whether to have a kind of leisured 20 years to get it done, you know. No, I've never wanted, I've never been leisurely. I've always been driven. But economically, it's also the kind of thing, you know, should I be squirreling money away or should I be spending it, you know? Kind of practical questions like that. And I guess the questions one always has throughout one's life become more heightened with well, you know, knowing that you're going to die pretty sure within the next 20 years, or you know, and so you know, what are you spending your time? Are you spending your time wisely? You know, are you doing things? Should you be doing other things? Should you be doing other experiences that you haven't, or things for other people that you haven't done? You know, that kind of thing.
JU, female 23. I feel hostile about. It's a kind of a teenage angst, hostility that comes back. Very simple, closed-off body language. I think when I get in those moods, very introverted, very twitchy also, and I'm very aware of, like, trusting people. So I think those two things go together, like being uncertain about something and also a lack of, like, trusting people. Because if I trust somebody, I might love them. And if I love them, then they might go. And if they go, then, yeah. H, female 28. I used to get very cold, almost as if my veins were filled with ice water in moments of extreme uncertainty and fear. I think uncertainty is really linked with fear. You can react with fear in the face of uncertainty. And I used to feel extremely cold, especially in my arms.
Slow, consistent banging.
Yeah.
T, male, 40. My father died when I was very young, and that introduced me to that things can end at an early age. That I didn't grow up thinking life is always going to work out. I grew up thinking life works out some days and some days it doesn't.
AF, female, 23. I kind of feel something in, like, a kind of subtle nervous feeling in, like, my chest whenever I think about it.
JA, male, 28. I feel abject terror rise up in my stomach when I'm not in control sometimes. I'm saying when I'm in control, I'm certain of the entire... I know the variables. So when I'm in control, I'm certain I have all the knowledge.
Fridge.
I'm running the show.
Fridge.
And if I surrender that control,
Fridge.
a little bit, uncertainty can creep in.
Fridge, car.
And my...
Motorbike.
Oh, that's scary.
Another bike.
I feel it now talking about it. It's...
Fridge.
It starts in the inside in my rib. So when my rib cage meets my stomach, and it starts about halfway up, and it creeps up to the point where my rib cage comes together, and it's like, hot, and I get... like shortness of breath.
Fridge.
And I tend to get emotional, I mean, and it's a panic. It's a panic that...
car.
It's part of me, yeah.
L, female, 35. Probably in my gut. Right, in my stomach and my throat. Yeah, like a closing, choking, like trying to hold something down. Maybe it's like, kind of like this feeling of fear or doubt, sadness even, maybe. Yeah, I think those are the two major places, and maybe my hips also.
JA, male, 28. A day before my stepdad died.
Fridge.
So I did everything for him. I totally took care of him for a year, for 1 day shy of a year. He lived
Car.
1 day shy of a year. And I did everything for him. And then the day before he died, like,
Fridge.
there was absolutely nothing to do. So I was like, every step of the way was a way to show love and also to fight against the certainty, because with the diagnosis, right? I mean, there was certain death with this diagnosis. Like 3% of people live outside, or 5% of people make it past 3 years. I mean, so it's just a death sentence, and that was unspoken, but it was the certainty of it was there. So every day was
Fridge.
about fighting that. And then when it
Car.
came to the moment when there was nothing left to do, I had 24 hours between that time and the time he died
Fridge.
with no purpose.
Fridge.
So that was like the sucker punch in my gut of that moment when the hospice nurse said, you know, at this point he's gone and there's just the body left for another day or two. Was like, there's now nothing. Was very empty.
Bird trill.
Like empty feeling.
K, female, 24. People think that the end of the world is so far away, but it's not. The way that everything has broken down, I think that scares me.
AN, male, 25. I'm the worst at the ice cream counter. I cannot decide what I want, and I guess it's because of I'm not sure what will be the biggest source of pleasure, what flavor will taste the best, or what mood I'm in. I don't know how I feel right now, so I don't know how that would come to bear on my choice of ice cream.
AM, male, 33. It's deep down in the depths of your stomach, you know? I feel like I need to go to the toilet when I feel uncertain. Sometimes when I feel uncertain, I'll just go, you know, like really... When you're feeling scared, I like to sleep. But either the toilet or sleep.
H, female, 28. I always was superstitiously believed in God, because I was like scared if I didn't believe in God, God would punish me. And I used to do these really weird, almost like OCD things where I would pray, but I would have to write out God's name in the mirror after I took a shower, because I thought if I didn't do that, then God would get mad at me when I was a kid. R, female, 32. You know, I just know now that I'm going to be uncertain, and I'm going to be uncertain about things, about God, about which I've made lots of efforts to. I wanted to be religious so much. I wanted to know, and
Boys laughed and nearby.
and more. I think I just wanted a community, and I think part of the certainty is you find your people when you're certain. Like, you know that it's this religion or that religion, then you belong with those people, and you know, and you're righteous about some politics, you know. And I think that's what I was looking. I was looking for certainty that these are my people, and I think that being mixed race and being a family that's all mixed race and displaced, and well, every part of our family is displaced because of World War II, and that's how we all came together. So there's a lot of not belonging, running away, and disowning the past.
Door slams hard shut. AN, male, 25. I wish I could say, you know, I'd be interested to hear some sort of study or like some analysis of people who are believers, who have faith, and how that comes to bear on their life decisions and how they deal with uncertainty. If you believe there's more, if you believe that...
Shifting in his chair.
As long as you're a loving,
Car.
God-fearing Christian, for example, then there's more after this. You're probably not too concerned, really. Yeah. I don't know, it's a hypothesis.
MA, female, 30. I wish I had an answer man that lived in my pocket that I could just pull out and be like, I wish I had someone who could be like, here's the right answer, because otherwise I just feel like I'm standing at a craps table throwing dice.
S, male, 37. Oh, wow, I'm rock bottom. I've got nothing. I'm uncertain, fear, dread. I'm feeling at a fearful place. I can't move. I can't act. I'm stuck. I'm fucked. I'm dead. It's like, oh my God, I need comfort.
H, female 28. I had a really awakening experience where I went through an extremely dark period in my life that I thought I was completely hopeless, and I thought I kind of wanted to die. I was almost suicidal, and I found a faith. I found very slowly. It wasn't like a white light moment, but very slowly I started to piecing my life back together because a lot of things had fallen apart, and very slowly I saw miracle after miracle of like things working all of a sudden, whereas they hadn't been able to work before, and everything falling into place, whereas I thought things were falling apart. And through that, I've gained some sort of faith. Still very nebulous, and I don't really know if I'd call it God or what, but I see that if I show up and I put in work and I do the right things, then things really do happen. I still don't really understand what I'm talking about, but I just try to have faith that everything's going to be okay, because so far it has been.
D, male, 35. This can't fail because the stakes have never been higher. Because if I was out there on my own, if I just picked up and went somewhere and I wasn't really able to get a job and I could just kind of scrape by and I wasn't really successful at anything, the only one who suffers is me. And the only one who'd be disappointed in me would be me, and that kind of thing. But now I have a wife and a baby, and so whatever job or source of income we create out there, the stakes are high. We need success. We need to work until we have it. Find a way to make it happen. So completely uncertain about what that path is going to look like. But I'm forcing myself into a state of certainty that it has to work out. Am I certain that it will? No, but it has to. K, female, 24. I think like my father, he had a stroke, and now he's a huge alcoholic, and I definitely smoked a lot of pot to help me get into a mindset of I don't care. So I have to just shut myself off for this long process. It takes time, it takes steps, like crying it out and feeling, you know, and then eventually just realizing you have no control over this, so I can't really care about it.
EM, female 23. My dad had given me this book of maps of London, and it was the book that he'd taken with him to London when he went abroad. And I carried this book with me everywhere, and it's the coolest thing. It has all these crazy streets in it, and it's a great thing, perfect.
Truck.
I never got lost in London. Not once. And my friends would just follow me around. They wouldn't even ask questions as to where we were going, what drew. They didn't want to know. They just trusted that I could do it. And I loved that. Yes. Like, I know another
Third on table.
place in the world. I can do this. I can live somewhere else and be safe and know where I am and figure it out.
JU, female 23. I'm not really certain about anything big. I don't think. I really struggle with people defining
Very loud
things.
motorbikes.
Because by defining something, you're limiting it. You're creating a box, a boundary, an inclusive and exclusive. And so I don't like to define things. I don't like to define things.
T, male, 40. Well, I prepare a lot. Uncertainty is so much connected to fear, isn't it? It's And this was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. It was a big deal for me, and things were kind of falling apart, as they always do. Well, they were starting to fall apart, and I didn't know what was going on. And we only had one day, and I stayed up all night long, rehearsing the next day, and I rehearsed it over and over and over again, so that when I went in the next day and I rehearsed, okay, I'm going to see this, and then this person is going to see this, and this, or this, in response to what I say. And then so I would come up with a response to each of those things and how to bring it back around. Because, you know, I work with a lot of people who are outside the box, you know. They just show up and they do it in their own way. And then you ask them a question, you ask them to do something, and then they find a way to tell you that they can't do that, but it takes them an hour to tell you, you know. So then you've lost an hour or something like that, you know. You have to learn how to work with them, because they're divine. And but that's what I did. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I figured out all of that, and it worked. The next day I went in and I was tired because I hadn't slept at all, but I just engaged with every single thing that we needed to accomplish, we got done. And everybody said things to me, and there were things I had rehearsed. And they were, you know, there was just a slight variation, and I had a response, and I'd worked, because I'd worked so freaking hard to make this day happen, well, all the uncertainty that would have been there if I hadn't prepared fell away.
EM, female 23. I think I believe in karma. I think I do. I get the sense that, you know, when you do something bad or dishonest, or especially if it's something big or hurtful to someone, like, somehow the universe will make sure it comes back and bites you in the ass. Somehow. It'll happen, especially when you least expect it. Every time something like that happens to me, I'm like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Fud table.
And now,
Fud.
This sucks.
L, female 35. And I get the feeling that we have lived prior to the life that we are living in right now. So I just don't believe that this is it. And I don't believe it ends here, because there are just too many coincidences. There are just feelings and senses when you meet some people, and spirits, you know, kind of. I have this feeling when I meet someone sometimes that I've known them before.
T, male, 40. I mean, isn't that what utopia and heaven and is all about? Is that certainty is a place where you're always certain that you're always happy and there's no suffering and there's no passion. The passion is suffering. I guess you wouldn't be bored. You wouldn't know what being bored was, because it's heaven. So there's nothing, there's no boring, but I don't know. But I find that the strangest fantasy. It's the strangest thing to set up. The strangest mythology. I am so insulted that we, as a human species, that we created that in our mythology. I'm just, it's like, oh, what the hell?
EL, female 60. I think I actually secretly have a lot of superstitions that I would never admit to anybody. But you know, some like if you can think of all the bad things that can happen, those they're not going to be the ones that are going to happen. So you have to try to think of all of them. And then those will not be the ones that will happen. I never in my life, you know, hit any kind of thing or have to back up or touch things. Or like some people have to do that, but in my mind, something's like, okay, it's this, or this. Like, if you can think of it, it'll be, the odds are that won't happen like tomorrow.
AN, male 25. I mean, I think it's the same process in a way that I was going through what we all go through, where you glom onto something to frame your whole world perspective around and say, is that me? It is me. That is absolutely me. And then you become disillusioned because you realize that there's some little thing in there that is not me or that I don't agree with. All right? And so then I think the way this type of person deals with that indecision is they cling on to their life raft thing, and they glom onto the next thing. Oh, it's not punk rock, it's goth. It's not goth, it's God. They convert. like Bob Dylan. It always struck me like, why did that guy join the church? That kind of drastic, sudden change of life, I think, is a way of dealing with uncertainty.
AM male, 33. Every once in a while I wake up and I go, universe, I'm going to fight you today. And then, I just go, not worth it, totally not worth it. Like, if I actually just kind of just get on, it's like wind. Everybody has their unique attributes and unique things to sort of provide to society around them. But I think everybody does it in different ways. And part of it is learning what the wind that's unique to you, what direction it's going in, because then you can use it rather than fight it. Have you not ever looked at somebody and you just said, you're this, and they're like, no, I'm a this, and so in effect, what you're really saying is that you don't see the wind. And the wind is right there. It's actually sort of gently pushing you, but you're just standing there really firm and fighting the wind. Think of how great it was if you ran in the same direction as the wind. How fast you'd move.
S, male, 37. I remember talking to my brother about that. How the hell do you do this? And he mentioned about you have neutrality, certain things that you do, they're simple things, very simple things. He's a techie, a computer guy, but he loves his Twizzlers and his Coke and his licorice, you know what I mean? And so there's certain things, I do think about those things, those strategies of unmooring things when I go to a new place. So, the room upstairs, I went and I sat in a different, sections of that room just to start. You first go into the room, it's different. I'm in a different place. I'm unmoored. But if you say sit for a bit, you start to dialogue with it more. From this angle, I never looked at that fan in that little picture frame and those two windows, and even just from sitting and reading from different vantage points, and the place starts to organically, chemically interact with you, and you get more rooted. It's more of a homification of things then, and so I was thinking of that too, of like just the process. I was reading at the same time the first of the girl with the dragon tattoo of him at the very beginning when he goes to the island. So I was reading about that, going, I'm going to go stir crazy here in this. So at the same time, I was thinking about, and I switched positions in the room, and I was watching, and the room actually started to transform, and I started to adjust to it.
R, female, 32. That's partly why my certainties keep me going, in that I may have I'm not OCD, but I have little rituals that I like to keep. Certainly when I'm feeling more overwhelmed, there's certain things I'll eat the same things. I'll clean certain things. I know certain things are in certain places, and when I wake up, they'll be there. And when I get really overwhelmed, I go to the drugstore and I look at the little sample sizes of things in the whole travel section, because it calms me, because I can try anything and not commit to it. I do. In the middle of the night. I've done that a bunch of times.
S. Male, 37. Go out. Get out of the... Go out and reach out to somebody. Go help somebody else, and that will help get things going. It's not all you. There's a thing outside. It's not just you. You think it's your responsibility, your guilt. There's things outside of you, so go outside. Ha! Get outside. AN, male, 25. Being on top of a large rock over some water, being high off and high above, and wanting to jump in, that feeling you get when you're nervous about jumping into water from a height. And I use that as a metaphor, even though I've been in that situation a lot, and I just started dealing with it by before my analytic brain even had a chance to click in, it's like, oh, that rock over there. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off my shirt and get into my bathing suit, just walk up there and jump. Not even giving myself time or distance to register that. Like, don't speculate about how bad it's going to sting or, you know, like all that. You just do it.
MA, female, 30. You know, sometimes when you just know something through and through, like you really know it, and in life when that moment happens, and if you get proven right, then you know that that feeling is usually for whatever reason correct. Like when my mum, I feel I had this with my mum, like about 20, I was trying to get home, and I was in California, and I couldn't get home, and she wasn't speaking anymore at this point. But my dad would hold up the phone, and I knew what I wanted to say to her if I were in the room. And I called my dad, and I was like, listen, you gotta, because I was sitting in my house. It was literally like about 20 minutes before she passed. And my mum and I were like really like sort of energetically and spiritually connected, like in a kind of intense way. And like all of a sudden it was so clear. Like I remember my mum saying, she's like, I just hope that when I die, like there's love on the other side. And that like they're either, whether it's people who like my dad just being there or just that there's love on the other side waiting for me. And I remember like I was sitting in my apartment and it was so weird. It was like, because I wasn't thinking about, well, I was thinking about what was happening, but I wasn't thinking about that at all. And suddenly it was just like that feeling that I've had in my past where I just know this thing with utter certainty. What my mum wants to happen is going to happen. Like, it was so clear. And I was utterly certain. I was, like, certain of it. And I was like, can I talk to Mum? Can you hold the phone up? And I was like, do you remember when you were in the hospital that one time? And you said, like, how you, like, actually felt like a bubble of love around you. You could actually feel everyone's wishes for you and their love. Do you remember? Like, I want you to feel like that right now. Because I'm utterly certain that that is waiting for you on the other side for you too. I'm positive. It's okay. Like, it's so okay. It's completely okay. And I knew it, like, so certainly. And I was, like, positive, you know, like, and I feel like, and that's what that's what she wanted.
B, male 23. In the last, I'd say, a year or two, I've started to be okay with not knowing certain things or pretending to know certain things. For instance, when sometimes people ask me now if I believe in God or if I know where I'm going to go when I die, I just say, I don't know. It's not, no, there is no God. It's not, yes, He is my God. He's my God and my Saviour. It's just, I don't know. And I think that for some reason, I've found this peace in uncertainty that I didn't have before. And I'm not sure why, but I think it's because the edge of uncertainty is the most exciting and the most honest.
T, male, 40. I'm getting tired of everybody believing in things and that this notion that we have to have faith, that faith is the most important thing we can have as humans. I'm not saying, well, I mean specifically religious faith, but also faith in your country, faith in your parents, faith in your family, faith in your traditions and institutions, and you know, all of that stuff, all those. I'm not saying that it's not the answer. I'm just curious because I think it may be a little overrated. And it could be that there's something else that we could be exploring, which would be uncertainty. You know, what is it to be uncertain? What is it to have curiosity as opposed to knowledge? And it kind of feels like knowledge and faith and belief stop us. It is the end of the story, you know. I believe this, end of story. I have faith in this, I'm certain about this, end of story. And that in a way, it's approaching the world with judgment, as opposed to approaching the world with curiosity. which is like, I don't know how I feel, maybe, right? I mean, maybe I feel this way. Maybe I don't feel that way. Maybe I feel another way.
I'm certain that I'm alive right now. I'm certain that you and I are talking.
I find nature to be a certainty, though I think we're, we destroy it. I do think that
Someone whispers.
the the presence around here, these mountains, to me provide a kind of scaffolding that I can believe in. They were here. They're going to be here.
Boy shouts.
They're old mountains.
Very loud bike.
I mean, the cycle of nature provide a rhythm to walk through. They're like a metronome, like you see the seasons turn,
Bike.
you see the chicks born, you see the water go high and low, and it's like, this goes on. This goes on.
Fridge bike.
I have a really wonderful family who I love and who love me.
I know how to chop tomatoes.
Oh, I really love food.
I know how to run.
I'll feel better if I get exercise.
I know that the New York Times crossword puzzle is there to be done, and I know I can do it.
I'm certain that we will go through it together.
I cook a really good fried egg.
I'm good with animals.
I certainly believe that there is life after life.
I'm not fundamentally good or bad. I'm both, at all times.
I really enjoy having a cup of coffee at 4 o'clock.
I'm going to die.
Love chocolate. It's always going to be good. I like having a dog.
I am certain that my mother would kill or die for me.
I know where I'm from. I know the people who are close to me.
I like ice cream.
If I throw something in the air, it will fall down.
When you're dead, you're gone for good.
This is what grass feels like.
In water, I'm certain I can swim. So I can move around. Just play around.